Hey there. It's been a while since I did a lesson on yellow letters, and a lot has changed since then. So we've had several requests to completely do a yellow letter lesson campaign. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And in fact, this is one you probably want to mark, because when and if you get ready to send out yellow letters, you're going to want to come back and review this. Because if you do this wrong, you're just wasting your money. Now, this yellow letter thing has been around for, gosh, I don't even remember how long now. Must be at least 12, 14 years. It was actually invented by John McNeil, whose wife is Donna McNeil, and Donna was my personal assistant at the time that John invented this. He was working with me buying houses, and he sat down and wrote out a handwritten letter one day, and he got tremendous response, and he did it again, and he got tremendous response again, and then he brought it to me. I told him it was too ugly, but then he told me the results, and I said, keep doing it, John. Anyway, shortly after that, I started teaching it all over the country, and lo and behold, it started getting absolutely tremendous results everywhere I went, all over the United States and Canada for that matter. So this thing has been working ever since. It continues to produce the best results you're ever going to get with anything you drop in the mail. But I want to preface this by saying yellow letters are an optional item for you. You do not have to mail them. Honestly, you can get all the leads you want by having our virtual assistants call online ads for you. If you'll combine that with finding FSBO signs in front of houses and sending them to the VA to call for you, and running your free ads online yourself, and so, well, if you just do that, if you just find the ads already online, look for FSBO signs, and run ads, you're probably going to get all the leads that you want. But if that's not the case, and if you want to target your market, which is actually one of the biggest benefits of the yellow letter, see, we can target who we mail to. Like right now, we're mailing to houses over $500,000 here in Jacksonville in value, and that's an easy list to get, just homeowners with high-end houses. If I want to mail to free and clear houses, we can. So we get to target our market. And when we drop these things in the mail, they always produce results. These results are going to vary based on the list that you get and various other things. Actually, in my experience, the results will vary more on if you do this correctly or incorrectly. And I got to tell you, this yellow letter was created right here in this building, but it has been knocked off, or attempted to be knocked off, I can't tell you how many times. In fact, some of the gurus that are out there right now are using my yellow letter, but they have massacred it, they've destroyed it. They don't have any idea why it works, so they just create a letter on a yellow piece of paper and call it a yellow letter. And I'm going to go through here right now and show you why this thing works. There is nobody that knows more about why yellow letters work than me, except the possible exclusion of John and Donna McNeil actually created this thing. Now, over the years, they did a lot of testing on this letter, and I've done a lot of testing myself, right up to just recently. So if you will pay attention to what works and why it works, and just do it, and not try to change it, you're going to get a lot better results. This letter produces a minimum of a 10% to a maximum of a 35% response when you drop it in the mail. There is nothing, absolutely nothing you can do. There's no other piece of mail you can put in the mail that'll come even close to that kind of response. That's not abnormal, that's downright weird, off the charts response rate. So, and I've spent millions and millions of dollars in direct mail, my friends, and I'm telling you, and I've never come close to that kind of response with any other direct mail campaign on the planet. So let's first start by what this yellow letter is. It is a simple, apparently handwritten letter sent to people that own a home in an attempt to get them to call you. Now, before you go dropping yellow letters in the mail, you better ask yourself who's going to take the calls. And it most certainly is not going to be you. If you take these calls, you're going to hate this campaign, because 90+% of them are not going to have a house for sale. They're simply calling to tell you they don't have a house for sale, or wondering what you're up to or what you're trying to pull on them. That's why I want you to have Pat Live take these calls. PatLive.com/Ron LeGrand. Tell them you want to get set up with Ron's yellow letter script. That script is really very simple. You just ask for the name of the caller and their cell number. Do they have a house for sale? And when's the best time to call them back? And the address of the house, because that's all we need for the virtual assistant to call them back and fill out the property information sheet. So Pat Live takes the calls 24 hours a day, live, emails you the leads, and then you send them to your VA to get filled out, but only the ones with a house for sale, thus eliminating you from talking to 90% of the people who are going to call you on this yellow letter. Believe me, they'll drive you nuts. You try to take these calls yourself, you're not going to like this yellow letter stuff. All right, so what is the yellow letter? Well, it's a invitation size envelope, just like you see on your screen right now, and it is hand addressed, or it appears to be hand addressed. Fortunately for you, today there is no more handwork in it, because I found a printer that can now address this envelope so that it really looks hand addressed, and they do it with equipment. Now, it's very important that this envelope is right. Look at the one on your screen and you will see how ugly it is. It is crystal clear this envelope was handwritten, or at least it appears to be, because it's so ugly. The problem is that all the printers that I've had before tried to produce something that looked handwritten with a software that they had, but it didn't look handwritten. Here's one on your screen right now that has been used, in fact been used a lot, but if you'll take these two and compare them, you will see the one on your left really looks like Grandma wrote it. The one on your right really looks like a machine wrote it. Now that may not seem important to you, my friend, but that will cut your response in half right there if you don't get that correct. If that envelope doesn't really look handwritten, immediately the receiver of it is thinking this is some kind of a trick and this is some kind of a commercial message. The letter must look like it came from Grandma. We put them in an invitation size envelope because our tests have shown they pull better. So let's start by getting the envelope to look like it was handwritten. Again, the company I'll show you in a minute, I've worked with them for weeks to try to get the envelope correct. I finally okayed the one they're using, so all you got to do is order however many you want and pick out your list, and they're going to do it all for you now. I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, the second ingredient of the yellow letter is the yellow letter itself. It's a yellow writing pad, or it appears to be. It is not really a writing pad. The printer takes white paper, prints it yellow, and then prints lines on it, so it looks like it came off of a writing pad. And then the printer prints the message on it to look like it was handwritten. And the current printer that I'm using does a good job of doing that. Now look at the letter on your screen. What does it say? It says, "Hi, my name is Scott. My wife is April. I would like to buy your house at 1545 DeConzo Street. Please call me at," and a phone number. That is all the letter needs to say, and except "Thanks, Scott." Folks, if you add anything to this letter, you've destroyed it. If you put a PS on it, you've destroyed it. If you put a website or a fax number or an email address on it, you have destroyed it. Remember, the only number you want in this letter is the one that forwards to Pat Live 24 hours a day, so they can then take the information I just gave you and forward it to you so you can forward it to your VA. So you have two ingredients. You have an envelope that's hand addressed, or appears to be, and you have a letter that is hand addressed and handwritten, or appears to be. A printer does them all. Now, let's start with, why does this thing work? Well, there are three very good reasons. Number one, you tell me, are you going to throw this in the trash without opening it? The answer is absolutely not. You're going to get a 100% open rate. That's why it works. That just fixed the biggest problem in direct mail, getting the envelope open. By the way, we're not going to seal the flap. We're not going to seal it. We're going to tuck it in, just like Grandma would do. The flap's going to be tucked in, so nobody's going to throw this away without opening it. Okay? Secondly, I got a letter here from Grandma. It says, "My name is Scott. I'd like to buy your house." And I'm thinking, wow, he has driven by my house and he loves my house. I got to call him. I got to call him to either tell him that my house is not for sale or tell him that it is for sale. You see, most of the people that get these yellow letters, they don't even have their house on the market until you put it in their mind that you might buy it. So they'll call, and they call, and they call. Now you're going to get a small percentage of the people who get this letter to call you. It's going to be somewhere between 10 and 30, but you're only going to get a percentage of that to have a house for sale. Let me give you the math. Over all this time that I've worked with the yellow letter all across the country, I think you can count on about 5% of the total people you mail to call you with a house for sale. 5%. That means you got to mail 100 letters to get 5 of them, even with a house for sale. Now, how many deals you get out of that 5 is totally relevant on how good you are, how quickly you can pre-screen them, and how well you follow up, and how well you understand what the definition of a deal is. That you can fix with further training. Come to my Quick Start School and we'll make sure you're clear on what to do with these after you get them. Incidentally, if I were you, I would not go spending money on yellow letters unless you're absolutely clear on what you're going to do with the leads when you get them. For you to go drop letters in the mail and then get people with houses for sale and then not be able to take it beyond that, what have you gained? All you did is wasted money on mail and marketing. I know the post office appreciates it, but you won't. So make sure you're able to follow up. So why do they respond to this? Because you have written a personal letter to them with the address of their house in it. Now, mark my words. If you try to do this and leave out the address of the house, you can look at a minimum of a 50% drop in your response rate, and I've seen it as high as 2/3. Please do not change the system. It's been working for a long time if you'll do it exactly like I ask you to do it. That is, envelope, ugly handwritten address, live stamp up here in the corner, flap tucked in. Yellow letter, looks like handwritten with the address in the center, nothing else on it, nothing that would indicate that this is a commercial message. Now your callers are going to find out it's a commercial message, but that's after they've called and after they told you whether they got a house for sale and after you got a relationship going. So, that's the letter. Now, why it works? You got it. I guess the next question is, well, who are we going to mail it to? Well, I got a whole bunch of lists, and honestly, this is where you're going to have to decide. I like free and clear houses, but I will tell you that free and clear houses will produce calls, but they're a little less motivated than people with a mortgage. I think it's quite obvious. If they don't have a payment, then they're going to be less motivated than people with a payment. So I'm mailing to people in higher end houses. In my case, I don't even want to separate the free and clear from the mortgage. Mail all to all of them. It doesn't matter anyway until they call you back and you get a property information sheet on them. Then when you get the facts, you can decide what to do next. Right now, we're just picking zip codes. Zip codes that we like, we're mailing to homeowners in those zip codes. It's really that simple. That's a very, very easy list for any list broker to get you. And I'll cover list brokers here in just a second. You can mail to out-of-town owners. They can easily get you a list of out-of-town owners. Some folks like mailing to expired listings, which you're going to have to get that list through a real estate agent. They can get it for you. Some folks like mailing to bankruptcies and divorces and probates, which is a list that you can that a list provider can take off of public records and provide to you. That list is going to cost you more because A, it's a small list, and B, it takes more research to get it. So to whom you mail is kind of an experimentation process on your part. If I were you, I would start with out-of-town owners, and then I would just pick a zip code and pick my price range that I want to mail to and just mail to them and see what happens and adjust accordingly. Now, I'm going to go to the board here a minute, and I'm going to show you who is doing our letters now for you, and they will also help you pick a list. So if you'll follow me. All right, I have the website up of our printer. Now, first of all, I don't own this printer. In fact, honestly, we don't get a dime out of the letters. Truthfully, I elected to waive any commission we get to try to get your price down lower. And I will tell you, the cost of your letters is going to be about $1.25 all in, and you won't be giving the printer a lot of that. Because here's what I want you to do. I want you to have the printer print these up for you once you join the Select a List. You really should do 1,000 or more at a time because you get 10 cents off just by having 1,000 of them printed. You don't have to mail 1,000, but you should have 1,000 of them printed to the list and then sent to you, and then you can drop them as you see fit. Most of my clients drop 200 to 300 letters a week, and what I want you to do is go put the stamp on the letters yourself and tuck the flap in yourself and let this company do everything else. They'll stuff the letter, fold it, stick it in, and make sure the address on the letter matches the address on the envelope. That's pretty important. They have a system for doing that. So now they're mailed to you in bulk. They mail the whole 1,000 to you. Now you drop them as you see fit and stamp them as you see fit. So then you don't even have to buy the stamps till you're ready to drop them. I want you to do that for several reasons. Number one, you're going to want to know what your count is. So you can count them. You'll know they're there. You can test them. Go through there and pull out a few samples and see if the envelope matches the letter and the likes. And then if you drop them in your city, then they got your postmark on them, which is better. Plus they get delivered quicker, and then the receiver also sees that you're in the same town that they are. So for all of those reasons, you should get them sent to you in bulk and then drop them yourself. Now this company mails millions of pieces of mail every single month. I don't own them, I don't have any part of them, I don't even get paid by them. And it took a while for me and them to get on the same page as to what our yellow letters need to look like. They weren't ugly enough to suit my taste. So they are the company we're currently using, and they are set up for you to go to this site. They take your order right on this site, and then if you need somebody, the phone number is on the second page here that you can actually call if you have issues. Now if you have issues, call them. Don't call us. We're not the printer. I'm just referring you to an outside source here. So you got, like anything else, you got issues, go fix them with them. You got problems with Pat Live, you got to call Pat Live. You got problems with your VA service, you got to call the VA service. I'm recommending them to you because I've spent weeks setting them up for you. On here, you'll see that they'll do your yellow letter. They'll do the envelopes correctly. They also do signs. In fact, is there a way we can scroll to show them? Oh, here you go. They do handwritten signs. They look really good. They do a good job of those. Then they can print you signs as well. They also do flyers. And honestly, they do any kind of printing that you would ever want. But I've set this site up so that only the things you need are on here. Now, this company's got a site that's got hundreds and hundreds of stuff on here. I intentionally don't want you to go there because if you do, you're going to get so screwed up you won't know what to do. And you're going to be spending a lot of money on stuff that just does not work. And I have insulated you from that. Just go to this site. There's no tool you need in the way of direct marketing or signage you can't get right here. And at a very, very reasonable pre-negotiated cost, I might add. You're welcome. So it is ronsyellowletters.com. ronsyellowletters.com. Go there, play around with it, get to know the site. It's not that big of a site. Order what you want, get on the phone and get help if you need it. And this is a valuable service to you because the last thing on earth you guys should be doing is sitting there licking stamps and, well, you're going to be putting stamps on your own envelopes, but you can't do all this stuff in your living room. If you try that, you're going to kill your whole campaign. And if you try to get your kids to do all of this stuff, how many times do you think that's going to happen? Once before they revolt on you. So anyway, another source to do the yellow letters. So let me go back over here and make a couple more comments. All right. I'm going to tell you some things to do to destroy your own campaign. So if you want to go ahead and make a list, we can make that list now so you can get it out of your system. Because I know if you're male, you can't possibly do it like I say do it. You got to do it your own way, because why would us men follow instructions? Right, guys? Well, trust me, I know this yellow letter stuff, and you try to increase it or improve it in any way, you're most likely going to turn it in the other direction. I've seen so many knockoffs of this thing, I swear. In fact, on that site I showed you, they've got knockoffs on there from other gurus who are telling their students about yellow letters, but I tell you, I can read the letter and they're going to suck. The results are going to be dismal. Incidentally, you cannot replace a yellow letter with a postcard. A postcard will not work. It'll work a fraction of what the letter will work. So let me just make it real clear here. Quit trying to save money on this thing. Saving money is going to cost you deals. Saving a few pennies could cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You got to have an envelope. You got to have a letter. You got to do it exactly like I told you to do it, or it's not going to work anywhere near as good. Here's an example of somebody who sent out a letter. I just got this in the mail yesterday. This guy lives in Tampa. I'm in Jacksonville, and he sent me this letter. It's not a yellow letter. Wasn't intended to be a yellow letter. But let me just read you the letter. It says, I'm very interested in buying your property. I've been investing in real estate since 1979. Whether you're a typical foreclosure or candidate for a short sale or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Look at the size of this letter. Let me just tell you, I don't even know this guy. And I've never seen this letter before. I can tell you for absolute certainty, this letter will get no more than 20% of the response of this letter. This letter won't pull a fraction of what this one will. And I have seen numerous versions of this, and all of them suck. In fact, I had a realtor come into my class one time and he said, my yellow letter campaign ain't working. So he brought one in and I opened it up and everything was perfect. I looked down inside and there's a Remax card sitting down there. Killed the campaign. Killed the campaign. All he did was tell his seller that he was a realtor trying to slime his way in to come listing their house. Please, listen to me. Do nothing more than what I just instructed you to do. Go back and watch this video 2 or 3 times until you get it. Go get the professional help to do all the work for you, and they'll even help you pick a list. They've got a list company called Listability. I don't care what list company you use. There's another one, a great one called Melissa Data, like the girl's name, melissadata.com. We've used them on several occasions. Any of these list companies can get you good quality lists to mail too. And incidentally, I don't care if you use the company I showed you. Again, I'm not getting paid for it, but why not go to the source that's already been trained to do it correctly and work with them instead of trying to reinvent the wheel? All right? Well, listen, that's enough on yellow letters, and I know you're going to have questions, so go ahead and submit them. Elliot will get them to me, and then we'll answer them on next week's call. Before I go, though, if you're not registered for the convention yet, you know what? I've said enough. Get registered. What are you waiting on? Hotel's almost full, and actually we're taking registrations in here every day. What on earth are you waiting on? Call right now, 800-567-6128, and say, count me in for the summit. I'm in. Get it over with. See you next week.